He was committed to Auburn, but then he came to his senses, and he gone ahead and done flipped that commitment to Georgia. We're going to talk about it next on Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, FanDuel.com. More on them in a moment. Thank you for our everyday listeners, the first listeners, and those who stay all the way to the end, the loyal third segment listeners. You guys are the fantastic, best of the best. He is Daniel. I'm Clint. Together we are Locked On Bulldogs, and we're the experts every single day for your Georgia Bulldogs, the most trusted fan experience that you can ever have right here on Locked On Podcast Network. Daniel said at the beginning, hey, guess what? People sometimes, it's hard to make 100% out of 100%, Daniel. That's just, it's really difficult. Sometimes you have a couple misses in life, and but what's most important?
What's important, Clint?
Is when you make a mistake.
It's not when you fall down, Clint.
It's how you get back up, Daniel. That's what makes the measure of a man. And in this case, we got a lot of measurables. Daniel, why don't you talk to the people?
All right. Well, what we have here over the weekend is a situation where a young man, Shadarius Tootle, Toodles is what I'm going to call him. Linebacker from Alabama, from Mobile, he's been a long time commitment to Auburn. Okay. DJ Durkin, the Auburn defensive staff, they got this guy locked up. They got him in the bag. And he, over the weekend, Glenn Schumann comes to Colin. And all of a sudden, Shadarius Tootle has said, I've made a huge mistake, and I'm going to rectify that mistake immediately, and I'm going to make a business decision because I want to be playing football for longer than 4 more years.
There it is.
And so I'm gonna go ahead and head over to the University of Georgia. Now, Clint, I'm not even sure what the question is. Okay, we've been asking each other questions.
We have.
Here's my question. What do you have to say about this situation where, and let me make sure that everyone's on the same page here.
Go ahead.
The second ranked overall commitment in the class for Auburn.
Go ahead.
Flips his commitment to Georgia and becomes the 8th highest rated recruit in Georgia's recruiting class. Could you wax poetically about the state of 2 football programs for us, Clint?
I can.
I think I've summarized it, but if you go in depth
chat GPT'd it. You really succinctly hit it. Let me try to say what Daniel is asking with a rhetorical question. At what point do you put the final nail in the coffin for Auburn? Is what you're really asking. At what point do you just need to look around, Auburn fan? Who's here, by the way. Georgia fans are here because we like our team. We're not in other people's podcasts because I only like the Georgia football team. Many other people are not, which is bizarre to me. It truly is bizarre. What it means is this. Auburn's is a train wreck, has been a train wreck. We call it a rivalry game. Hasn't been no rivalry game in a hot minute. Again, Jake Fromm completed 1.5 passes. And that was the last time it was competitive for anybody in an Auburn Tiger Wars Plainsman Eagle thing. Ever since then, it has been a shellacking. I mean, there's no other way to talk about this other than an utter beatdown on the field, off the field. You guys got Owen Popo, and that was like the last one that you really felt good about, you know? Like, and I know what I did there, by the way, people. Other than
Hugh
that,
Freeze, Clint, it's been the thing that he could do was not win football games.
Can't do
as coach. But the thing that he could do was the recruiting. You talk to Auburn fans. The recruiting. It's really
that's what people say they're most
upward.
excited about with this guy. He's doing something that the others couldn't do.
It's really trending upward if you look at the overall scope. 6th overall class, according to 24/7 in
class,
2025. Now, is he going to win any football games with those players? Time will tell. But
No.
it seems as though a little bit of the shine has worn off of the recruiting pitch for our friends over at maybe he could host a Bible study. Hugh Freeze could, because we know upstanding Christian man who hires prostitutes for his players via his burner phone.
I think contracts
that hasn't been objectively proven to be true.
Objectively, by the way.
It seems like a little bit of the shine is wearing off, and people are starting to see that they've been sold a bill of goods on Auburn. And guess what? That number 6 recruiting class from last year, there's going to be a lot of activity in the transfer portal because, Clint, I don't see Hugh Freeze lasting much longer at Auburn.
People talking about a couple of coaches that are going to be on the hot seat this coming year. And it's really wild to me because Florida, namely Napier, who we told you all not to get rid of Dan because he was better and he factually
Sunbelt Billy. Yep.
People saying that actually Billy Napier might have a really, really good squad. Daniel and I are actually pretty high on Florida this year, talent-wise. Just comes down to Billy coaching. I think Hugh, and this was just a couple of years ago that they made up fabricated stories about a man to get him fired from Auburn about his involvement with extracurriculars.
Sure. Because they realized they hired a guy from Boise, Alabama. Pay attention. They hired a guy from Boise.
The Venn diagram's getting
not
very
South
circular.
Dakota, but it's pretty much South Dakota. I am aware
Very
that
similar.
Idaho and South Dakota are separate places, but are you aware that they're not
they?
really?
Are
They're
they?
not really.
Can I?
Okay.
I'll tell you they're not. Okay.
All right. So they hired a man from Boise and realized they made a huge mistake. So, but then they got their guy.
He was on his. I mean, y'all, Daniel, you want to venture a guess? You said 6 last year. You want to venture a guess what their rank is this year in recruiting?
Surely it's inside the top 10, inside the top 20, inside the top 30, inside the top 50, inside the top 60, Clint?
You would still be incorrect. Inside the top 70, and now you're there. Daniel,
here we go.
They can't recruit their own state. They can't recruit outside neighboring states. They can't go onto the West Coast or up to New England and get top tier talent out of there. He can't attract the people that want to play for him. And so other teams, A&M is on a bigger tear than they are. Florida on a bigger tear than they are.
Yeah,
they're getting passed and lapped. Oklahoma comes in and gets Bo Bentley this weekend. They are getting absolutely kid played with on the basketball court. And there's nothing Hugh Freeze can do about it. He literally can't stop the hemorrhaging that's happening right now.
I'm just here to tell you, I love it because Auburn suffering is joy for me. It's not a problem.
Pure joy.
But if Auburn needs somebody to sound the alarm bells, like we're looking at a dark time right now for Auburn moving forward. The trajectory is not good, Clint. The slippery slope to complete irrelevance is like, you can see it from where we currently sit at Auburn. This football season for Hugh Freeze is so incredibly important because he might already be behind the 8 ball on the 2026 class. We know that.
Correct.
But if he doesn't validate some of the recruiting and transfer portal work that he's done previously this year, that's it. Like, that's it. This is the guy that said he didn't have time. He's the anti-Dan Mullen. He literally said he didn't have time to game plan for games that they were losing to FCS schools because he was busy recruiting. Well, now those players are here. And so how many games is Auburn going to win? Maybe that'll be the question I ask you in the third segment. We'll do a little, I'm going to do a little we'll do a little win totals look ahead in the third segment. But first, Clint's got a question for me that we are going to get to right after these.
And these are, in fact, FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel Summer Sports in full swing. FanDuel is the best way to make every moment more exciting. You're already following all the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? FanDuel, get in the game with your friends. They're on the beach getting sunburned. You're watching the games, getting the monies. We've been using FanDuel, track favorite matchups, and it keeps with new daily promotions. Always fun. It is always fresh. It is always fantastic. Are you new to FanDuel? New customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. You love to see the Tiger Plainsman War Eagle go down in flames. Bird and child in a vortex swirling around the apartment as they drowned. It's fantastic. I want an image of that, of the Plainsman burning with an eagle, drowning on the plains. Daniel, the question I have for you also has to do with recruiting. We said last week, as we were going through, we said, hey, Kirby Smart is on a tear. Kirby Smart won't be stopped. There's no one close to him save for Ohio State. Not Ryan Day, but Ohio State. Because in the Midwest, can I just tell you guys something really? The Midwest doesn't care about good things. They just care about tradition. That's it. They will keep doing the dumbest things on the planet. If somebody has done it for 50 years prior to them, it's good enough for them. They will keep doing it. Ohio State has, quote, tradition, no integrity. No chancellor of integrity.
Well, they have a chancellor.
They do have a chancellor. My apologies. They do have a chancellor. He does not have integrity, is what
but
he has a title.
He does have a
Ohio
title.
State does have the tradition and does have the Midwest grapple lock on that.
Okay.
We said Kirby Smart has no one close to him. We gave a couple of names that we're very, very excited about coming in on the interior defensive line. Zachary Lewis, Zachy Helton, come on in. We got a couple of big old body guys who are going to probably get that bump in recruiting ranking. But over the last little bit, on the 18th, there was a little name under the radar. And we made claim to this when we saw the first dominoes fall on the interior. We said, the tackle's coming, y'all. Ogboku commits 6'6", 280, North Carolina. Currently, Daniel, he is the third best at his position and the 40th best in the entire nation. You gave me a last ultimatum. What would you rather have to pair with Jared Curtis? The number one in any position, and I took linebacker because I love.
You're a degenerate.
I'm a degenerate.
Yep,
and
we know that.
If not anything, we get the tackle. Is Ogbogu going to be the highest rated tackle we get in this class? And if so, how excited are you?
Obviously, Georgia misses on the tackle whose name I already forgot and refuse to learn at this point. Because he's not part of our team, but Curtis commits and Georgia misses on the number one tackle in the class. But Egbogo this is a future 5-star tackle. Okay.
Yes,
you mark that down. Like that's absolutely, you can write it down. I do think he will be the highest rated tackle that Georgia gets in this class. Although I don't think, as of right now, he sits as the second highest rated, tied for the second highest rated prospect, according to 24/7 Sports. I do not think he will be the second highest rated prospect in this class once all is said and done. Georgia got more 5-star talent coming. Yo, I'm here to tell you this class is currently sitting at 4, and it is not even close to being constructed.
Tyler Atkinson.
There are multiple 5-star defensive players on their way to Georgia. Multiple. Okay?
It's like a video game.
As long as you understand. No, in the video game, they put a cap on you. They won't let you do this. You run out of like the points that you can spend on recruiting. They will not let you do this. But he won't be the second highest rated prospect, but I do think he'll be the highest rated tackle. I do think he'll eventually get that 5th star and probably get a bit of a bump. But I like this guy a lot. And you mentioned it. He's got a ton of talent. He is not he's not super raw. He's been through the reps, right? Like he's played in the big moments, the big games. 2-way player in high school, but it's the measurables that I look at, Clint. 6'6", 280, and the man is a junior.
But
in high school, I don't know if
that's light, right, Daniel? That's too light.
Okay. Do you remember? Think back, listener, to when you were 16, 17 years old. Okay. Now. Just look down at yourself right now, wherever you are right now. Just go ahead and have a peek. Okay. Would you say that you've gained weight or lost weight in that time frame, however long it may be? I'm here to tell you that a person's body is not finished at 16, 17 when they're midway through their junior year. Like, this guy's still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
He's still got the weight room and the meal plan at Georgia, and he's got all the size and athleticism. I mean, the guy, we've talked long and hard about recruiting analysts, and they're not the end all be all of talent evaluators.
No, they're not.
Right? But it is being said of this kid. I've never seen him play. I've not gone to North Carolina and watched him play. But it's being said of this kid that he could play Power 5 nose guard. Like, he is good enough to play on a Power 4 football team at nose on the defensive side of the ball. So that's the kind of physicality, athleticism, violence that we are dealing with on a guy that's 6'6", 280, still growing into his body, and you're going to stick him out there on the left or the right side of that offensive line. You're not even going to have to worry about it. Georgia needs more tackles like this, and they got one.
Daniel, it's like when there could be somebody who weighs over 200 pounds, 215, 220 pounds that takes a swing, and you're thinking, oh, big dude takes a swing. It's going to pack a punch. And then there's boxers who are 160, 165, 170, and they will go ahead and knock a jaw right off because they have heavy hands. Okay?
Yeah.
When they say this man has a heavy trunk, when his hands are violent, when they're concrete, what they're saying is this man, he plays, and this is all I care about. You can't teach size. I get it. Big O was something of a freak, but when you can play nose tackle on the interior of the SEC, you are just a straight out berserker. Okay, the average
26 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, by the way, in his junior year.
I'm sorry.
26 TFLs.
That's how many
sacks.
That's how many he gave up. Daniel?
No, that's how many he accrued for himself.
Okay. The plus minus on that is wild.
Yeah.
An average Viking was like 5'9", 165 pounds. Okay. They were not 6'5" behemoths that you think. No, they were okay. Right. They just happened to be a little bit more up in the head. Okay. This man, he might be 6'6", 280 now, but I guarantee you he ain't going to be 6'6", 280 when it comes to Georgia. And then when he is even at Georgia, he's going to accelerate beyond that. He is going to be the highest rated tackle, not the highest, second best prospect. I completely agree with that. We're going to come back after this, and Daniel's going to give me one more question. It's going to be, you're going to need to listen to it. But first, these.
Clint, it just piqued my curiosity when we were talking about Auburn. We're talking about Hugh. We're talking about the length of tenure for the coach over there on the Plains. And so I just thought I'd poke around at some win totals. Now, right in that meaty part of the curve. You understand? Like, he's not showing off. He's not falling behind. He's right there in that meaty part of the curve. He's
not so much here or here, but
he wants to be an
here.
architect, not a city planner. That sort of thing. He's right in that 7.5 win total.
Oh gosh,
for the season. There's a cluster of teams there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm gonna list them off for you. And I want you to tell me from most wins on the season to least wins on the season. I want you to rank them.
Rank them. Okay, great. I'm going to rank
these are all the teams that Las Vegas is predicting or has set the line for 7.5. The first is Auburn. The second is Missouri.
Ooh.
The third is South Carolina.
Okay.
And the fourth is Texas A&M, all set at 7.5 wins. So obviously you've got storylines at each of these programs. Texas A&M, Mike Elko's first season, had a lot of success. How could he not? He was replacing Jimbo Fisher, who is literally the worst on-field football coach that we have seen in a generation.
I don't know. Mario Cristobal says, hold my beer.
But he was able to go 8-5. So you have Texas A&M coming back. They return their quarterback. Speaking of teams that return their quarterback, Clint, South Carolina might have the best quarterback in the SEC behind the helm. But is there enough talent for South Carolina to have a repeat performance and go over 7.5 as well? And then you get to teams like Missouri. Brady Cook, of course, is gone. Star wide receiver is also gone. And so there's a significant reload, although Coach Drinkovitz has done a good job recruiting. And we've mentioned Hugh Freeze. He's got Jackson Arnold out of the transfer portal at quarterback, and he has recruited well over the last few years. Will this be the year? Because if it's not, I think he's fired. So those 4 schools, Clint, Georgia only plays one of them this year.
Yep.
Unless one of them goes on a run and makes it to the SEC title game. But how do you rank them in terms of most wins to least wins in your prediction of this season?
I've already said I'm sneaky, not confident, not high on, but it's a favorite play of mine. I'll be looking at A&M a lot this year on game lines and a lot in win totals. I will be looking at them quite a bit. They have the recruiting, Mike Elko doing his thing of, I think, continuity. I think the defense is going to be far better this year at A&M. Yep. The offense, the quarterback situation, if he learns how to throw and not just run, it's going to be a different situation. I think the trenches are fine. So I'm very high on them. So that's my first thought. Missouri, look, you got a kid at running back who's a baller. Straight up. Go look at this kid, bro. He's a baller. He can flat out run the ball. He might be the best running back in the SEC next year. So I'm high on that.
Okay.
South Carolina, I think, does in fact have the best quarterback in the SEC. You heard me right. I am sky high on Sellers. He impressed the tar out of me last year. I think sometimes got a little rattled late in the games and kind of lost it somewhere and did some defecation in the bed, which wasn't fun. That's not great. So, Daniel, for me, all 3 of these teams have a better roster right now than Auburn does.
No.
That's not great because Auburn, you can talk to me about Arnold. You can talk to me transfer portal. You can talk to me. He's his dude. Auburn's been hemorrhaging guys for a while, and they've been losing the recruiting battle. I don't think their roster. Certainly, A&M has better talent. Missouri's been okay picking up the right pieces for Drinkovitz in his system, and they got a couple of guys in the transfer portal pretty well. In South Carolina, I just think Sellers makes them a tier above anybody else just because he's on the squad and they have the best defensive guy in my mind is Stewart. Okay, so that's the case. Now you got to look at schedule. A&M has a couple of tough games, but they have what I think are 8 wins easy on the schedule.
Ooh.
I think 8 UTSA, Utah State, Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida comes to A&M, that's going to be so hard for them.
Tricky game.
It's a tricky game. They go to Arkansas. Arkansas is not the same thing. Missouri, a couple of these teams we're talking about are in fact playing each other. So Texas A&M
of course
goes to Missouri. And in Samford at the end of the season, I think those are the games that I would go ahead and chalk up for a win for A&M. So they're above that season win total. South Carolina has Vanderbilt, South Carolina State, Virginia Tech, Kentucky, Missouri. I think those are 5 wins right there. They hit a bit of a hard stretch. LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss. That's real rough. A&M's, and then Coastal Carolina, and then Clemson. So talent-wise, I think they're better, but I think schedule-wise, that's a grinder. The 4 or 5 games right in the middle of their schedule. Holy heck. Yeah. Missouri, UMass, Louisiana, Kansas. They do Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Arkansas. As much as I don't think Auburn has the talent, I would probably go A&M, South Carolina, Auburn, Missouri. Is how I
big drop off for Missouri.
Big drop off for Missouri, I think, coming. Drinkovich is going to have a hard time. He has the running back, but they've done that before. Remember when they had those 2 tight ends that were all world? Apparently, we're going to take everybody by storm. Running back in the backfield, didn't do anything with it. I don't think their defense is going to be that good. I think especially the back end is suspect to me. And so big drop off from Missouri. So I think Auburn's number 3 in that list. A&M, I would go ahead and 1. And I'm looking at them right now at a couple of big time season win total or over unders, taking the over a couple times on them. Would you agree with my assessment, Daniel?
I think the most interesting team in that pool by far is South Carolina. By far. There are very much 2 ways that this ship can turn.
Yes, sir. Right?
You could have a legitimate sophomore slump type of situation for Lenore Sellers where it was like, all right, he was new. It wasn't like he was new on the scene, kind of burst onto the scene. People didn't really know how to prepare for him. People didn't have a lot of game tape on him. But now, through an off season, defensive coordinators maybe a little bit more able to prepare for him. Maybe he's going to catch a little bit less off guard. And so you might end up with a situation where you see a regression out of Lenore Sellers, in which case I think South Carolina could be like 4 wins bad. Like, I'm talking about really, really bad. I also think there's a scenario where Lenore Sellers got another year in the SEC, and he's the real deal, and he continues to elevate his game, and he continues to push forward, and he continues to develop. You mentioned Marcel Reed, the quarterback at Texas A&M. If he continues to develop, that will be the thing that I think drives A&M forward to a better season. If he learns how to be a little bit more accurate and do more than just throw deep shots down the field, if he learns how to actually run the offense. I think if you see progression out of Lenore Sellers, then I think all of a sudden, I don't explain to me why they can't beat LSU. Explain to me why they can't beat Alabama. Explain to me why they can't beat Ole Miss. Explain to me why they wouldn't beat Ole Miss by double digits at that point. Like, I think depth is an issue for South Carolina. They don't have as many guys. Yeah. But I do think their guys, if they're healthy and if they're in, and if Lenore Sellers continues to progress, I just think I will not be betting the South Carolina win total this year. I'll just tell you that right now, because I think it could go drastically either way. I might bet 2 alternate South Carolina win totals. I might bet like under 5 and over 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might, like, that's not a bad bet to me.
It's not. That's honestly, you know what? Add that with a couple parlays of a couple other teams just like it, and you got yourself a stew.
Speaking of degenerates, welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Happy that you're here. We will be back each and every day this week, so thankful for you joining us. Remember, if you've got questions that you want to hear us talk about, you can hit us up on Twitter at Dogs Podcast. You can send us an email, lockdownbulldogs@gmail.com. He is Clint. I am Daniel, and we will see you guys next time.
See you.